Hello, I'm Khushali Mahajan. I'm a JURIST staff editor. And how are you? How is everything? I know it's very tense and it's very tough right now, but I hope you and your family are safe.
Yes, I would say all the protesting is going on every day, and then there could be cut off of internet, or there might be police and soldiers. They might come to the houses, whether to investigate unofficially, and they could arrest anyone or they could shoot anyone anytime. It could be possible. Every time is very risky, and we have to be very careful with whom we are communicating or whatever we are doing online.
Yes,
Yes.
so what is the ground situation right now? Can you tell me more about what's happening?
Right now, mm, you might not probably hear it, but most of the people are on the streets. Um, we are still protesting, even though we might not gather in one place. Uh, the whole city, all the people, they are going around with the motorbikes or by walking. They are protesting, holding on the notice boards that rejecting the military, and that's what they are doing. We don't gather in one place anymore because if we are in one place together in one street, uh, they will use forces and they will come and make people to separate ways. So
Yes,
we have to make it easier and more flexible to move around and still protest. We are also encouraging the civil disobedience, the staffs who are participating in the civil disobedience movement.
yes, definitely. So there was an internet cutoff, like we were told. So how do you think this is affecting your ability to protest? In the obvious sense, of course, they're trying to, it's like a modern exile. So do you think it's like a tool that they're using against you, like something like a siege that they're using against you, cutting you off from the rest of the world?
Yes, I think I think it's one of their tools. They want to cut off all the internet connection and access to the information, and they don't want the true information to be out to the international. Uh, in their national TV, they will say lie to the world that everything is fine, but when it is not. If we lose internet, other people around the world they might probably believe that everything is fine. Actually, everything is not fine. We have to be very careful, and also it's preventing people from speaking their true voices. And we also heard that they might also track our phones. We are kind of living in worries that whether we should change the SIM cards, or uh, we have to use VPN to use the Facebook and to use any other social medias. We still have to tell the world that everything is not normal and where we are suffering in these situations.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
is I think it affects people both psychologically and a lot. Uh, when you don't know what is happening, it frustrates you more. I think that's what they are trying to do. Sometimes they also spread the false news in the internet. Even though we are given the internet, they are kind of playing the mind game with the people. That's why we consider this as a long time battle. People they have to think and they have to do. They have to. We have to. We have to work all the time, both our brains and our body. Once we get one step wrong, they will label us as the rude protester. They will make us becomes the rude people, rude citizens, in order to label this situation as an emergency condition. They want to take control of this. They want to take control of people, using us, using our fear, manipulating us. And maybe they were hoping that we will give up soon.
Yes, it's good. The fighting spirit is very, very high spirited right now. And it's really good to see people protesting for their democratic rights.
Yes, it's not like when people say that this is about politics, it might be about competing between the political parties for the governmental power. But it's actually our national crisis. It's a violation of human rights, because uh, majority of the Myanmar people, they voted for NLD, but we are not doing this for NLD. We are doing this for our country, the democracy, the human rights that we all deserve. If it's not NLD, we will still do this. Any government, any winning party, if they are deposed by this military code, we will still do this. Because they should at least respect our votes. They should not do this. It is against the law.
Definitely. So, how do you think international support is helping you? Like, we see the UN is voicing its opposition against it. We see a lot of countries opposing this. But do you think that the international community might be a little far from your reality to understand what's happening?
For the international aid, to be honest, I think they published the sanctions or joint statements. Yes, they are trying, they are doing as the international law. But I think, it's kind of a bit far from our reality. They are people, I know they are trying to protect us. They are trying to publish the sanctions. They are trying to put in the military coup, even though there's no such public condemnation from the Security Council yet, because of China and Russia. I think for the reality check, the people in this country, we are facing this. I hope there are more physical help or humanitarian aid like that.
Yeah.
We really hope that, because this might take years, this might take years. I think most of the people were hoping that we were hoping some lifesaver comes into our life, because within ourselves, the only hope is that we will protest every day. We will stop everything we are doing, and we will do the civil disobedience movement. That is all we can do, actually. We want that international to notice that this is against the human rights. This is a disgrace to the international community. They should take action here. They should make it known to everyone that this kind of military coup should be prevented. The lives of the citizens, our human rights, we should be the first priority in these situations.
Definitely. And Myanmar has a history of political instability since its independence, and especially in 1988 when there was such a major uprising. Do you think there is some semblance in that? Do you think it's the present situation resembles the one that was in 1988?
Yes, there are a lot of resemblance. First, at, also at that time, there was a military coup. They said they want to handle the emergency situations in the country, or whatever they are calling it. That's how they label it. And right now, they are doing the same thing. And also the things that they are using, the tricks that they are using in our daily life that we are facing right now, they are very similar. They will send the police and they will send the military. They don't let people to protest peacefully anymore. And the point is that they want to gain the power back. They don't want the civil government to be the head. They have the guns, we don't have it. So they are threatening us with that. Also at 1988 and also in 2021. And the things we are facing are the same, but the way we responded, it becomes different thanks to the technology and more attention from the international community. I think we are in a slightly better situation right now. Maybe at that time, it might be more scarier for the people. Nobody can hear them. the government, they are just killing hundreds of people every day, and then nobody knows it. Nobody really take action of that. Now I think we slightly have the chance. We will not respond them anything violently, because they are testing us to respond violently. They will send the prisoners. They will send the police, and even on the tiny little things that we're trying to protect, they will say that we cannot do that. They are arresting the little kids, so that we might respond them violently, but we cannot do that. We will make the same mistake as 1988. I think that's one of the reasons why the 1988 was a failure for the public, because they responded violently. So they gave a reason to the military that it was an emergency condition. We are unarmed, and we are responding this in a very gentle way, in a very civil way. And we want the world to know that they are the one using all the violent forces.
Definitely. So, what do you think that what is that hasn't changed in 30 decades that this had to happen? Like the 1988 uprising was also against something of a similar nature. And in 2021, in the 21st century, we see this happening. So, why do you think there, like, even after 30 years, there is no change, and this kind of a human rights violation, major threat to democracy, had to happen?
Oh, pardon? You mean uh, even
So
after
what do
all
you think
these
is so,
years?
yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So,
yes.
after
Can you
all these
repeat the
years,
questions?
even after all these years, what do you think is unchanged that such a violent takeover of power had to happen?
Oh, you mean um,
I mean, like,
even after
what
all
is
these
like,
years, there is still the same action from the military. Uh, you mean
indeed,
why the history is repeating again?
indeed.
Yes. I think they want to regain the power, the military. They always have the upper hand in the Myanmar politics. Um, since we got the independence, there's a formation of the government, but then there were always U Wen or U Dan Shui or those kind of generals, the military generals. They want to regain the power, so they establish the emergency condition again and again. Because the military genders, um, they will be addicted to the powers because they get all the privilege that normal Myanmar citizen would never get. The education system, they can send their children to the good school, while we don't really, why everyone, the normal middle class person, they don't really get the proper educations. We don't really have the chance. They want to maintain their economic wealth. They are, you know, they want to keep getting the privilege. And when there's someone who is trying to break through their system, like in 1988, Aung San Suu Kyi, she arrived in Myanmar at that time, and then she was the people's leader since that time. And then once at that time, they were also held an election. They did not expect the parties to win, but actually they won. And when the civil government, the winning party actually came up, they don't want to give the power anymore. So they declare this again, and they take all the politicians to the jails, and they want to keep this system. And for they want to keep this system, and then a few years they will make it seem like everything is normal. But we are living in a box. We are living in a cage. We are given the amount of human rights that they are giving us. I think all the humans, we are born with the human rights that we all deserve. We should get all the 100% of the human rights. But they are just giving us 30 or 40% of the human rights and make us think like we should be thankful to them for giving this.
Mm.
They are making people seem like they are the lifesaver of us, but they are actually just abusing their power and manipulating people for many decades. Actually, in the previous year, they try to harm the education system the most, because when a person is educated, they will know what is right and what is wrong. So they might become rebel, as they label it. When a person is become too smart, they don't want that person in the ring anymore, because it might trouble their system. Especially when it comes to the politics and law majors, they do not allow those major to exist in the universities. Those kind of departments, they reappear just recently, about 7 years, I guess, in big university like Manly University or Yangon University. They try to close down those departments. They prevent people from learning them. They don't want someone to point out their mistakes. And when they are imposed by the sanctions from the international, then they re-elected another civil government. And like Aung San Suu Kyi, they won in 2015. And then within 5 years, a lot of things changed. And they were expecting that in 2021, they will still get half of the seats in the parliament. But unfortunately, they did not. So for them to keep their power, they have to use their force and announce the military coup again. I think we can let the history repeat like that again. They are doing the same thing, but we cannot let this happen again, because it will take more decades. It will take another generations. We will have to let the younger generations to live in the fear. I myself, I think, even though I have not faced it, I can say that I have seen the adults they face in the system, and they are treated very unfairly. If you are not a part of the relatives of their military genders, you will not get any kind of privilege, even though it should be your basic human rights.
Oh, so how do you think people can take power back from the military?
Pardon? What did you say?
Think that people can take the power, the political power back from the military?
The political power?
Yeah,
Or
power.
Or you mean how to prevent the military from doing this again? Or what is your
Indeed.
question?
Why do you think, uh, how do you think the people, what all steps do you think they can take to take that power back from the military? Because definitely it's understandable that the military, because it's armed, it's just using its muscle power to overpower people. So, what other uh, measures do you think people can take to disallow this, to stop this from happening?
Um, to stop this from happening, I think the reason why that they can take advantage on this emergency condition is because of the 2008 Constitution. Uh, we should take a closer look to the Constitution and its provisions. It says that the president can announce the emergency condition. Right now, the president did not announce it. They just detain the president and elect the vice president to become the president, and then they announce the emergency conditions. There is no really specific description of what is a emergency condition. It is like their magic card in the constitution that they will take it back whenever they want it. This constitution is written by their military, and I think we should kind of amend that part. And also, I think the military, they should be under the control of the president. The government, they should be a unit under the government. They are not a rival unit of the government. According to the constitution of our country, the military, it's something like a separate organization. They can decide their own budget. They can ask for money from people taxes whenever they want. And also, they can give any reason to do anything. And also the president, they don't really have any say in whatever the military is doing. So it seems like the military is not there to protect the government and the citizens. The military exists to turn against the citizens and the government whenever they want to. We need to change the 2008 constitution for that part. And that's why we are enforcing that that's why we are electing the senators who promise that there will be changes in the 2008 constitution. And also another thing is that when we elect that seat in the parliament, the 25% of the seats, they are already reserved by the military. Have you ever seen, like, it might be very rare, but have you ever seen any soldiers sitting in the parliament being a part of the legislative body? It is not normal. They are not elected by us. They are already reserved the seat. Like, it is just a normal seat in a restaurant. It is a legislative body, and they are already getting the 25% of the seat. And connecting to the previous point that I said about amending the 2008 constitution, we cannot amend it that easily because in the provision is said that we need to get more than 75% to amend something in the constitution. Over 75%, it's something, they already get 25. How can we get over 75%? They are intentionally planning this, using the constitution and manipulating their power when they were holding the gains. Also we can see that the government does not really have control over the military. For the cases in Rakhine State, whether they are wagering a war or having a war with the ethnic groups, or the government does not really have any control. They will only obey the order of Min Aung, the chief military general, the chief commanding general, and then they won't obey the order of the president. And I think they can even turn against the president. That's what they are doing. They kidnap the president and the state councillor using the soldiers.
That's quite concerning. So, you'd earlier mentioned that the military is trying to suppress people by taking control over education. So, what do you think is the future of law as a profession and in your country?
If the military coup continues and there is no stability back as we expect, I think we better not exercise any legal profession there, because it's a basic maxim that every law student learn, that no one is above the law. But the military is above the law. That's what we have to say here. No matter how much you try to get the rights that your client deserves in the court, the judges, they might decide whatever. There is no justice. There will be no justice anymore. The basic human right of the people, they are already violated by the military. How can we even protect them? Even if a lawyer, they try to protect it, that lawyer will be accused of high treason, according to what they are doing it. I think they have done this before. They make it like there is no future for any law, any person practicing the law, or any person learning the politics. I think in the past, most of those people, they escape to other country, because if you live in these countries, you are not practicing law as you should be. You're just being their servants and causing more trouble to the public. the people, they are losing more and more hope in the judicial sector in this country. It is very sad and depressing to see such response from the public. Just I think people, when they have some legal problem, um, you will probably tell people that why don't you go to a lawyer and sue that person? He is violating your rights. He should be obeying some contract. But then, the normal response you will get from Myanmar people is that, well, I'm not going to the court. It will cost me a lot. You have to pay. You have to pay start, even to start a lawsuit at a person. Even when you go to the police station, you have to pay money to make them listen to your case. That's even in the very first stage, you will make people lose hope in the judicial sector. So I think there is no law, there is no protection, there is no safety. Well, they are abusing the law. There is no reason to exercise the law at all, because because whatever we are doing logically or legally, if they publish an order without any consultation from a legislative body or without any proper reasons, they will publish the orders and that will prevail on anything. They won't take it into consideration of justice for the truth or the welfare of the people.
So, how is the youth contributing to the protests?
How is the
How,
youth?
yes, how the young people um, helping the cause for democracy?
I
Because
think
it
it
is
is,
your future.
yes. Yes, I think the youth, we are contributing as much as we can, as much as we can. I think mostly the teenagers or very young people, they might not be interested in politics, but it is different in our country. Um, Even at a very young age, people, they talk about the constitution, they talk about the politics. It's a very famous topic in our country. So even though we might not participate, we did not participate in politics before, I think most of the youth, they understand this very well. So they are participating in this. And, due to the educations and then openness from the technology and internet, I think the youths, they are already learning what should be. We have seen what is a basic human right. We have seen what we all deserve. We have seen the light, there are a lot of better future for us. As much as we try, we can get to better places. But then right now, it's saying that there's no future for us. It's the same as saying that there's no future for us. And we will not accept it very easily. We will stay fight for it. We have seen the light. And even though they shut the door, we will still open it. We will use everything. We will do everything to get the normal life that we all are trying to approach, to get the democracy. We have already tasted slight democracy taste, within 5 years. There's so many changes just in front of our eyes. And we will not let it fade away very easily.
That's very high spirited. And what do you think holds for your country in the coming future?
In the coming future, um, I think we get back our civil government. Our country is, at the very beginning of the line in a running match. We are very ready to start running. We will run it at a very high speed. We will develop our economy, our education, our social affairs. We will develop everything. I think for a country like Myanmar, we have a lot of possibilities in the future. Um, I think we could. I wish we could fulfill that. Um, if this military coup continues, the international community, they will put a lot of sanctions. They will not allow us to get access to any kind of education like scholarships. You know, at the very last, the person who loses is the citizens. You know, so I think there should we want to welcome more investment to our country. We want to improve the educations. There are so many smart young people in our country. Um, they deserve to be exposed to the world. I think that's the kind of futures that I was looking for. It is very saddening that on the very first day of their military coup, many companies, the foreign companies, they were planning to work with our country. They kind of freeze the contract, or they quit the contract. Um, to get that situation, we have to try really hard, and they just destroy it within one day. It's very saddening. We have a lot of future. We can offer so many things, so many great things to the younger generation, and we can show the world that um, we this country had so many potential. This country had so many human resources, but um, the military, they just steal this away, steal this all this hope from the people. So I think that um, I hope we're just getting back on the track like before, and keep trying continuously. Right now, we don't even have the chance to try. No one will come here to do any business. This country has no stability. This country has no guarantee when it comes to its law. There could be any rapid changes. No security for its own citizen. You know, it's a very bad condition. Our country will keep sinking. We were about to go higher, but then they stopped it. So I wish we could go back to our track and keep trying. I hope there's a better future though.
It's really heartwarming that.
Hello? 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 I do not hear you. Hello? Hello? I cannot hear you. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So it's really heartwarming to see how you guys are fighting, and how you all are so spirited to get back your rights, which you rightfully deserve. And I feel that you shouldn't lose hope, because one day things will get better. So are there any last messages or any last comments that you might want to tell and give out to the international community?
Um, yes, for to the international community, um, I think that I hope they help more, like cutting the military coup openly, and tell the world that um, the action of the military is wrong. Calling them out as wrong. I think that's what we should do. And As a citizen, there's very little things that we can do, and they are preventing us to do it in many ways, uh, like enacting the privacy law, or well, they might be tracking us and a lot. Like, they are breaching all the basic rights of the human, and this is totally unacceptable. And if there is a wrong thing, don't endure it. That's why I want to say, call plainly tell them that it is wrong and take action of it. I want them that please do not ignore us. They are not ignoring right now. Um, please take more action on this. Please hear hear our voices. That's what I want to tell them. Even if there might be internet cut off in future, or um, please keep being curious about our country. Um, please make attempts to hear our voices, even when we cannot reach out fully. Mm, we are fighting for the truth. So please give us a hand, give us hope, that the international community is standing on the same ground with us, fighting for the justice.